Okay, so today we're going to look at reciprocal trig identities, notes, and classwork. Okay, so the first thing let's talk about, we did it kind of on the warm-up, but I want to mention it again. If we have a triangle, that is the worst looking triangle ever. I'm going to make one again. We have a right triangle, and we have this angle right here, A. And we're going to make this side over here X. This is going to be Y, and this is going to be Z. Remember, if we're looking at the sine, it is the opposite. And I'm going to change these. Opposite is Y over Z. Opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, this is all of A, is opposite over adjacent. Okay? So when we're looking at our unit circle, okay, if we've got our unit circle, we know that like the sine of 30 is 1/2. It's the Y value because the hypotenuse is over 1. We know the cosine of 30 is square root 3 over 2. We know the tangent is 1/2 over square root 3 over 2, which is square root 3 over 3. Okay? Just kind of to remind you. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I went real fast, huh? Okay. So, we have this right here. We're going to put it to the side, and we're going to be talking about 3 basic trigonometric ratios that have a reciprocal trig identity. These are called cosecant, secant, yep, and cotangent. Okay, these are the 3 reciprocal trig identities. So we have sine, cosine, and tangent. Now we have cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Okay? Cosecant is abbreviated as CSC, because I don't want to write cosecant every single time. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And then secant is abbreviated as SEC. And cotangent is COT. Okay, cosecant is the reciprocal identity of sine. Who knows what reciprocal means? We've talked about this before. It's like flipped over, like the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. Okay, so the reciprocal identity of sine is cosecant. The reciprocal identity of cosine is secant. And what do you think the reciprocal of tangent is? cotangent. I can never remember which one goes with cosecant or secant, so you just gotta like memorize that. Cotangent I think is kind of easy. Okay. Sine is the ratio of the opposite side over the hypotenuse, okay, of an angle. Cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite side of an angle. Sine, can I move this up? You should be writing all this down. Sine is the ratio opposite over hypotenuse of an angle. And cosecant is the ratio of the hypotenuse over the opposite. And it's really 1 over sine. So if we want to think about it, it really is 1 over the opposite over the hypotenuse, which ends up being, we take 1 times, we flip the second one, we get hypotenuse over opposite side. Okay. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse of an angle, where secant is the ratio of the hypotenuse over the adjacent. And it's really like 1 over cosine. So 1 over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse. And we flip it and multiply and we get adjacent over hypotenuse. I mean hypotenuse over adjacent. Excuse me. Okay. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, and cotangent is the ratio of, we're going to do all this, 1 over tangent. So that's 1 over opposite over adjacent. And that's how we get that adjacent over opposite. And really, tangent is sine over cosine. So this also means that cosecant is 1 over sine, secant is 1 over cosine, and cotangent is 1 over tangent. Finally, because tangent is sine over cosine, this means that the cotangent is, just like I said, cosine over sine. Okay, so we're going to try some problems in the back using our unit circle. Go on, turn this over. Okay. We're looking at secant of 30. Okay, secant goes with, which one again? Cosine, right? So we're looking at 30, and remember we're going to go hypotenuse over x. Okay, my hypotenuse for all of my unit circle is 1, correct? What's my x value at 30? Square root 3 over 2. So remember, I need to do what to this? I'm going to, it's being divided, 1 divided by square root 3 over 2. So when I have a fraction, what do I do with that bottom one? I flip it and multiply. Okay, so 1 times 2 times the square root of 3 is just 2 square root 3, correct? How do I get that square root 3 off the bottom? I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 3. And that's going to give me 2 square root 3 over, what's 3 times 3? It's 3 times 3. What's the square root of 9? There you go. How are we feeling? Bad, confused, okay? Okay. Cotangent instead of y over x is x over y. Right? Let's write these at the top. We've got secant is hypotenuse over adjacent, or h over x, or 1 over x. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite, or h over y, or with the unit circle, 1 over y. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite, which is going to be x over y. Does that help? We'll see. Okay. So I'm looking at 45. What's the x value for 45? Look at 45. What is the x value on your unit circle for 45? Square root of 2 over 2. What's the y value? What's the y value? It's right on your unit circle. Square root over 2 over 2. What's square root of 2 over 2 divided by square root of 2 over 2? 1. Okay. I want to do one more, and then I want to give you guys some time to work on it on your own. You ready? Number 3. Cosecant of 330. So that's going to be the hypotenuse, or 1 over y. So cosecant of 330, I'm looking at my unit circle. I put 1 as my hypotenuse. Y is what? Negative 1/2. When I'm dividing fractions, what do I do to the second fraction? I flip it. 1 times negative 2 over 1 is negative 2. That's my answer. Okay, let's do one more because this one's funky. And then I'm going to let you guys do the next 6 on your own, and then we'll go over the answers together, okay? Secant of 90, that's h over x. The hypotenuse is always going to be 1 for the unit circle. What's the x value at 90 degrees? 0 is on the bottom, so what is it? Not 0, it's undefined. Okay. What do you think? Maybe a minute per problem, so we'll do 6 minutes? Go. 6 minutes. One more minute, guys, and I'm going to go over it. All right. So, number 5, cotangent is going to end up being, it's going to be x over y, so that is square root 3 over 2, quiet please, divided by negative 1/2, so we're going to get the square root of 3. Number 6, secant of 135 is hypotenuse over the x, or the adjacent. So I'm going to get 1 over negative square root 2 over 2. And when you guys multiplied that, what'd you get? 1 over negative square root 2 over 2 ends up giving you? Negative square root 2, right? So, because you go 2 over negative square root 2, can you have a 2 square root on the bottom? Multiply top and bottom by square root 2. You get 2 square root 2. There's a negative in front. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. These cancel and I get square root 2. Okay. Number 7, cosecant of 150 gives us 2. Cotangent of 240 gives us square root 3 over 3. Secant of 225 gives us negative square root 2. And cosecant of 270 gives us negative 1. Is there any of those you want me to do, or are you guys feeling okay?
We do 7 and 8.
7 and 8, no problem. Okay. Cosecant of 150. So cosecant, I know, is h over y. And if I look at 150 degrees, I'm going to get 1 over 1/2, right? So I'm going to go 1 times 2 over 1. That gives me 2. Okay. 8 is cotangent of 240. Cotangent is x over y. If I look at 240, the x value is negative 1/2. The y value is negative square root 3 over 2. So if I go 1/2 times 2 over square root 3, right, a negative times negative makes a positive, right? These cancel and I get 1 over the square root of 3. Multiply the top and bottom by the square root 3. I get square root 3 over 3. Yes?
Can you go over 5?
5, sure. Okay, cotangent of 210. I know that cotangent is the x over the y, right? So now I'm going to look up 210. And I have the x value is square root 3 over 2. The y value is 1/2, right? So square root, I'm going to ignore the negatives because I know a negative divided by a negative is positive, right? Times 2 over 1. These cancel, and I'm just left with square root 3 on top. Others? You guys ready to try your homework? Okay, make sure you have your unit circle out in front of you to do this. Do your 12 questions.